I began to document ways that the homeless people began to structure kind of like these, their shopping carts. And then what I did is that I took around 8 of their objects that I would then integrate into my object. So then I created these kind of processes. So I have 9 processes in which I use to then like pile, stack my shopping carts. So then what I did is that I started to stack the what I call the pillows, which will then like be more compressed. Because at the top I would have like the boxes, the chairs, the more heavy stuff. And then I scaled differently another shopping cart, like which I used kind of the same idea of like compressing, but now the objects begin to get smaller. And then within these objects, I started to create these packs, which going back, you had mentioned something about the top of the box. So in this section, I kind of wanted imagining the boxes there where like it gets to the point where like it hits the top and it starts to flatten out. So then like I had this also kind of like catalog where like instead of having one specific umbrella, I had many umbrellas. Instead of having one box, I had many different boxes. I also had buckets and different like pillows, chairs.
So homelessness, just social critique,
Sort of.
or are you ridiculing them because you're trading homelessness for toys?
Well, I kind of just took pictures and like.
So you're making fun of homelessness.
No, like I use the way they structure their, because I also looked into like the homeless people in Japan and figured the way they like use.
And see, like this is where I can twist it either way in a sense at this point, because like this is the danger with those type of projects. I think if you wouldn't have said homeless, then I would have been much easier with your choice of objects. Because once you've inserted social critique, then you can also be very quickly misquoted or misinterpreted at the same time. So I would be always a bit careful with this, with your social agenda as an architect. Here's the simple thing, and this is a larger picture conversation. Is like if you want to do good, you should become a nurse or a doctor. Architects are not really do-gooders. We build for wealthy people, we build for ruthless people, we build literally for everybody. We are pretty much doing things. We have sometimes a social agenda, meaning like social housing and so forth, but in the end we're all depending on what the client wants and wants to invest and do. So there's a very limited aspect of where we can actually interact with this. And so I'm always very careful when people wanna put the social like commentary and critique too much in the forefront. Because I rather have it being discovered as such than being immediately put forward. So just a tip for the future, just caution yourself a bit on those type of. So let's look at what you're proposing in this case. So there's a few things I'm trying to understand is, so what are your volumetric operations?
So that's one of the things that I also realized in previous people. It's more of like I don't really have any because like the boxes they're open like in the
So they're not volumetric then?
Well, like they have the interior space. They have like a thickness.
So how do we look at this then in your case? Because even so, is it still volumetric if a box is open on one or two sides? At which point does a box or a representation of a box not become volumetric anymore? How many sides do I need to take off in order to not be volumetrically represented?
One.
Do I need to take 3 sides off? Or how many? Or 2 or 4 sides? Or 2 sides? Where's the threshold where I cannot read the box as a volume anymore? I think it's 3 sides, which is a tricky question, right? Because we never think of this, like, when do I see a volume and when do I not see a volume anymore? So I think this is once you start engaging in this, and start seeing as like, okay, if I have a volume, like how much do I need to read the enclosure of it in order to read it as a volumetric operation, and when does it turn into a surface operation? And that's much more what I would focus on with this. Yeah? It's like a card. Is a card a volume operation or is it a surface operation? Because you prefer to represent the card as like this mesh. Yeah, so you're kind of giving it much more material reading than it probably should have. Yeah? And even like the wheels and the cards, like, but we're not looking at them in terms of the spatial volumetric conditions. Yeah? You see?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm also a bit cautious with the social commentary, because I think you tried. Yeah? And I like the umbrella idea. I'm kind of seeing what it does. There's some interesting procedures emerging, but I almost wonder what happens if I recompose those umbrellas into like one volume, for example. What do I need to have? How many sides can I take off again? Or how much do I need to add in order to make it volumetric? So this would be my curiosities when I work in a proto-architectural condition, which this kind of like is. And but it's not too late in this sense. I think there's some conditions emerging that could be very interesting. Again, you have the same problem that everything is pretty much operating more or less at the same scale, except for the umbrellas. But the umbrellas are superficial. That means they're surface operation. Superficial is, is surface related. Yeah? Yeah. It just has another connotation to it. Follow me? Okay, so that's my critique. The drawings are very nice. A bit hard to read some of them, especially here or here, because here you have too much of the same line weight going on. This one I think is the best drawing.
Thank you.
All right.